Welcome to our weekly podcast, Real Talk with Chris and Ross. We are designed for entrepreneurs and forward thinkers. We also cater very heavily around the real estate industry as a whole, bringing you hot topics and up-to-date content with a lot of amazing special guest speakers along the way. So sit back, buckle your seatbelt, and get ready for the best hour of your day.
Man, that never gets old ever. I love that.
I was looking at the intro and I was seeing all of our different outfits and how, sometimes we all wore backwards hats. And today, look at this episode, we all have a vest on.
I mean, this is all in for
you guys
Russ.
are killing me.
Do this to kind of stay appropriately in line with Russ today. So it's the best tie day. You're missing it, Ross, but
I did. I normally have a nice suit and tie, but today I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with this look. Right?
Hey, Ross, there's a bunch of years where I was like, don't wear a tie that's not a clip-on so then people can't choke you out. So if you start living a better life, you don't have to worry about getting choked as often.
Exactly, right? You're worried about that was a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Real Talk with Chris and Ross. Happy New Year, everybody. It is 2024, the first episode of the year. We're episode 46, right? It's awesome. 46. So we're excited to have special guest today. A very good friend of ours that we've met actually. Now Ross and I have because of EXP again. I always love it. Shameless plug. Love EXP. But imagine the amazing people we've come across because of people like this right here. Today we're interviewing a good friend of ours, Russ Laggan. Russ works for corporate, part of EXP, but he has amazing background. He's an amazing individual. And in my mind, I think he's borderline Rain Man. I mean, I don't know.
He really is.
I'm just saying, I feel like he's like borderline Rain Man. Like, if you threw out a number right now, this guy, either use that whiteboard behind him or he can like calculate on his toes and tell you what the number is. So like the desert. But nonetheless, he's a unique individual. And always the hostess with the mostest, my Ross the third. What's up, my friend? How are you?
You know, I'm doing great. It also feels great to have a guest on that's here local in Michigan. So love that. Great to have you on, Russ.
We'll bring the heat, baby. Bring in the heat. I mean,
yeah, I'll bring
ice cubes.
We're actually live in Honolulu right now, folks. That background is not a fake backdrop. That is real backdrop.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. I think we saw that in October last, didn't we?
Yeah. Watching the sunrise in the background. So we're excited here live in Waikiki. Awesome. Well, hey, let's move forward and kick back. Again, thank you for all the regular listeners that listen to our podcast. And for anybody new out there, I hope this is of value to you as well. Russ, give us a little glimpse, kind of give us an idea of who you are, my friend, so the people out there in the podcast world can kind of get a stage of who you are, my friend.
Yeah, it's like which direction you want that to go. It can go like 800 directions, 400 miles an hour. So,
sometimes we talk about like a little bit about your story, from growing up to where you are at today. Just as deep as you want to go, man. This is Real Talk with Chris and Ross.
I mean, it's kind of like, one night at a movie theater, Russ was conceived and all. No, just kidding. Just kidding. You gotta keep. Anyways, I take things too far.
Hey, listen, true story. I asked my dad when I was, I don't know, later teens. It's like, what? I was getting more serious with girls, that kind of thing. It's like, what made you marry mom? Like, what was it? How did you know she was the one? And my dad looked at me, deadpan, said, she smelled like chicken.
Like chicken.
I've never heard that one.
Where do you go with that one, right? Well, funny enough, my mom in high school worked for a fried chicken place. My dad's like, she always smelled amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And my dad wasn't joking. He was dead serious. I come from a long line of, I come honestly by really messed up humans, apparently. So yeah. So, getting into business. So I did 2 years of theological seminary coming out of high school. And learned a lot. Like don't ask the wrong questions a lot. If you ask the right questions and play along good, But so it kind of started young and early for me, kind of being so more of a free thinker, but certainly more open to abstract thinking and being open to like I don't know everything, but if I learn a little bit about a lot of things, then I will have a better idea of what I truly believe, So like my earlier formative years is more about what you believe. Right. And then getting to the point where it's like, now I got to get into business and do business and make money stuff. So I got into, so I was a licensed hairstylist in my early 20s, which is great. So, you know, Chris, you met me, you see the hair now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Licensed hairstylist.
Now, can you cut it yourself? Do you actually cut your own hair? Wow.
I have for 30 plus years. So the last 3-4 years have been great because I've had no hair. This is like full skin mode, you know? So everybody's like, you're bald. I'm like, no, I just have really short hair. And they're like, ha ha. And then I grew it back out and they're like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Where'd that come from? How much did that cost?
Like, yeah, did you do the implants, right?
Yeah, they're like, well, how did you grow it like that so fast? I'm like, I don't know. I just water it every day in the shower and it starts coming up. So, you know, so I've always kind of been more of an artist, much more of an artist brain, but kind of more of an unusual artist. Like my handwriting sucks. I can't draw a picture. If I drew a picture of either one of you guys, it would be a source of many butts of jokes. It would be horrible and hilarious, but it wouldn't be accurate. And then, you know, got into kitchen bath design, project management. And then I learned from that one. It's like, we're making this guy a ton of money and I want to make myself a ton of money. So I started my own company doing countertops out of concrete in 1999 in Detroit, Ross. Nobody heard of that here, right?
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. And 3, 4, 5 years later, I learned one of the more valuable lessons of my business. Number one, you've got to get into business with a plan to get out. Getting into business is easy. Getting out of business is really hard. So we got a lot of people right now that like, hey, I started my own brokerage and I'm going to sell my brokerage. And what they realize is their brokerage is worth nothing. Nobody's going to buy a brokerage because if you take you out of that mix, it makes the value of the brokerage go to next to nothing. Because you got to think of it like this: like in almost every business you build, usually people build the business and they're the Pied Piper. You know, they're like, and then the rats follow. And as soon as they stop playing, the rats just they go off and find some other player, right? And if you build your whole business around you and a cult of personality around you, and then you take you out of the mix, can the business still survive? If the business can't survive without you in it, you're not the owner, you're an employee. You just happen to be owner employee. So, and actually employee first, owner second. And that's only if you actually make any money do you want to admit to that one. So, you know, valuable lessons learned, but I also learned a ton about houses. So when I decided to stop that company in 2004-5 real estate market here in Michigan, Ross, you might remember it was getting smoked because the auto industry is laying people off left and right. And then go into 2005, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to get licensed as a real estate agent because I know more about houses than everybody. And so I did. And I got into the real estate business and I interviewed the number one guy in the office. And I said, hey, if you were me, what would you do? And his response, Chris, you'll love this. He's like, I'd get the hell out of this business. I'm like, dude, I just got here. He's like, yeah, no, quit. Go find something else, man. Before you get sucked in, go find something else. So I was like, that guy's an idiot. So I interviewed the number two guy in the office. And he basically said the same thing. Like,
that's hilarious. And you do hear that actually, right? When you do talk to some of the top professionals. I mean, I had actually the guy that got me into real estate, believe it or not, always jokes around about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what, you guys don't, I was like, they just didn't want the competition. I had zero sales, you know? So, oh yeah, I'm competing with those guys. I didn't even have an uppercut at that point. You know, I didn't learn that for years. So then my wife's cousin came into town for a family graduation party or something or other. And he was a real estate broker in Tampa, Florida. And he and I chatted and my wife's like, yeah, Russ just got his real estate license. And Rob's like, oh, really, man? That's cool. So we're like, dude, you should come down to Tampa. Because I told him the story about these two guys telling me the market here sucks and so forth. I'm like, oh, what the hell to do now? And he's like, dude, you should come down to Tampa. A complete idiot can make $100,000 a year in Tampa. And I'm like, dude, I'm the biggest idiot I know. Let's do this. You know, now I can take idiot to another level. So I moved to Tampa in December 2nd of 2005. It will go down in infamy as the Pearl Harbor of my finances. Since you're in Waikiki. Yeah, so I got to learn how to build a real estate business, knowing zero people in a market getting destroyed. And you guys now know, you know, further into the process, it is not what you thought it was. It's not what people think it is. And you don't realize getting in that, like, most of the stuff that people are teaching are just sheer numbers game crap. And it's like, I don't want to be a telemarketer. Like, I kept getting told to do all this stuff that I just hated. Like, I don't want to be a telemarketer again. I don't get door knocking. right? And it's like, it was all of these different techniques are just bang the phones and run the numbers game. And I'm like, I don't want to build a business like that. So then I had to figure out how to learn how to build a business the way that would work for me. And I found that the majority of the people that I was doing business with were people I mountain bike with. And this epiphanal moment sitting in my Infiniti G35 silver 4-door that I was super proud of and couldn't afford. Used it, couldn't afford it. I'm sitting in a parking lot of a movie theater, off to the side so the police don't wonder what I'm there for. And I literally sat in the driver's seat of my car crying. And I had tears in my eyes, man, because I'm like, I effing hate my life right now. What the F did I do to myself? And how the F do I get myself out of here? I was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And it occurred to me in that moment, it's kind of like, what are you doing? What is working? And it got down to like, okay, I'm going to double down, triple down, quadruple down on the stuff that works. And it was the building relationship stuff, easy for me to say. And it was the things that were like, everybody's like, well, you can't do it. Like, it's just relationship business. And I realized like, it's all about relationships, and all of the other stuff you're doing is just to get to open the door to be able to get to build the relationship part. And if you do a good job building the relationship part, it's a game changer, right? So like, how do I deepen relationships? Well, I gotta be more present. So I learned how to be more present. So I showed up mountain biking a lot. Tuesday nights, hole in the fence, 6 p.m. every freaking Tuesday. They're like clockwork. There's 70 or 80 people standing outside. They're getting ready to go in various groups. And then you start hanging out and you start realizing people keep asking me the same damn question over and over and over. How's the market?
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Like,
door open. Yep.
Yeah. So then I was like, well, I'm going to do what I was taught. I'm going to do my elevator pitch. And the more I did my elevator pitch, the more I realized my elevator pitch wasn't the problem. It's the fact that when somebody asks you a question and then you go at them with a sales pitch, elevator pitch, sales pitch, you go try to get something from them. They don't come to you, they run.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing I did is like, okay, shift. Instead of doing the elevator pitch where I'm trying to get their information, they ask me the question and I offer to give them something. And then they say, what?
Yeah, maybe. No, thanks.
They say yes every single time. So
sorry, I misheard that, Russ. I'm sorry.
Come on, keep up, Ross. Come on, dude.
I misheard that. Yeah, keep going.
We got brain fog over here, bro.
Yeah, dude. Just got off the COVID spell.
It's all good, dude, man. Been there. That's no fun at all. So drink lots of water. It helps. So the game then becomes like, okay, if this is the most important thing that's happening to me all the time, I get really great at answering questions. And I start teaching other people how I was answering questions. They're like, how's your business exploding? And the next thing you know, they asked me to run one of the real estate offices local. And I didn't realize at the time when I took the job that the office was losing like $300,000 a year.
Wow.
So like, hey man, Chris, I'm the captain of a ship. And you're like, hey Russ, what's the ship called? You might have heard of this one. It's called the Titanic. Like,
good Lord.
It wasn't sinking. It was already underwater, right? So it was like, how do you get this thing back from the dead? So I brought that from losing a bunch of money to making money, and then merged it with another office that was just really bad company dollar, losing money with a bunch of people, and converted that by end of 2012 to the #1 privately owned real estate office in Tampa. We had 70 agents plus or minus one or two, 11 per person productivity. So a very highly productive, big office. And it was still barely making money, which is crazy, right? Because this typical real estate model is just broken, right? So I realized, like, again, I'm in the same spot again. You might realize, hey, Ross, I don't know, you ever learn the same lesson over and over and over and over?
1,000%.
Insanity, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized for every $300,000 they make, I get to make 10 grand. I'm like, well, I don't want to flip that, right? So I resigned from the best paying job I ever had. My wife damn near had a heart attack. And I was like, honey, I know I can fly. And she's like, yeah, but you're already airborne. How do you know for sure? I'm like, we'll build the airplane on the way down. Launched myself off the cliff in 2012, went out in 13, sold 105 houses. In 13, not a bad year after managing for 4 years, not a bad year. And then 13 sold 105, 14, 143, 15, 136. In 14, I bought 50% of real estate brokerage and sold that for more than I paid for it in 15 months later.
Wow.
And that company asked me to run the lower half of the country for them for a couple of years. Had 28 offices, just under $1 billion closed, 28 separate P&Ls in 9 different states. And that was kind of a fun gig. Then resigned from that, did a short stint with EXP as an undercover agent because I had a non-compete / keep your mouth shut. They paid me good money, so I'm really good at keeping my mouth shut if you pay me enough. And consider myself a professional now since I've been paid to do it. And then I was asked to help build the second fastest growing company in the country for 2020, 21, 22, 23, which is a company called Fathom Realty. I was their only vice president of recruiting. And at Fathom Realty I started with them in September of 2020. January 2021 to end of March 2022, we recruited 2,079 agents in 15 months with 5.8 per person productivity. So highly productive, very, it's 12,000 plus transactions go to the bottom line for them. Then they made some changes and made some adjustments. And I was looking at the writing on the wall and some of the things that were going on in the business and the industry. And then I got a call from Dave Kennard who said, "Hey, I heard you did something weird." Like, I'd say that number and those metrics are weird. And he's like, "Can you back that up?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can show you a spreadsheet." So they offered me a job here at eXp Realty to be senior director of growth to help out. So I got about 33 states or so technically are under my West Central, and I help people grow. So I've learned a lot of stupid lessons doing stupid stuff the hard way. It's amazing I don't have a forehead that's caved in from banging it on stuff.
That's awesome. Russ, first off, hearing your story now, man, it's like tying it all in together from not only watching you from afar on, Facebook with all your crafts and hobbies as you are as an artist, but just how I met you, man. Chris, I don't know if I shared this story with you, but we're coming back from the EXP conference. Never met Russ, don't know Russ, that he's the senior director of growth. And I'm sitting getting ready to board my plane. I'm sitting in my seat in the plane, and Russ just looks at me and goes, "Oh, what are you? Another, boring old real estate agent at this real estate conference," or some joke like that. It was just the most random thing, but he fired up a conversation, right? And I think the Tom Ferry conference was happening at the same time. Yeah. And there was someone that was sitting next to you that you were talking to, and you like, "What, did you come back from the Tom Ferry?" And I'm like, "Who is this guy? He's calling me out and the guy next to him." But within minutes, you had all of our connections. You had we exchanged numbers, and you really established, a foundation that we wanted to connect with you. You were a cool guy. So to hear now, like, your mountain bike story, and to watch you turn that painful moment of where you weren't happy and, you weren't getting the results, and you turned it and almost flipped it to your purpose of establishing connection is just beautiful, man. And now to watch you in this role, crushing it, is great. And when you came out to our office, actually, I don't think I've told you this since I've seen you, after we met on the plane and you came out and taught my team. Yeah. Everyone, when you walked out of the room, were like, that was like the most unique training on connecting and growing your business than anything we've heard before. It wasn't like, "Hey, know your numbers." It wasn't, "Hey, hit the phones and start dialing." You really had a unique approach on growing your business. And I think now, hearing your story, it all makes sense, man.
Ross, I appreciate those moments. And part of the game as salespeople is connecting. Like, one of my favorite books, if you guys read books at all, I can't imagine it's even a good audio book to read, but because it's just like one page at a time is just pure priceless gold on every page. It was called The Little Black Book of Connections by Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey Gitomer is not in the real estate side. He's just a people person. He's a sales guy, sales nerd, right? So he's got the little red book of sales and little red book of yes, and the little green book of, and the yellow book of, but the little black book of connections. I've had 2 or 3 of them. I've got one of them that's dog-eared, and it's got saliva on it. It's well used, slightly chewed on one of the corners. And that was me, not the dog. But it's like you figure out that literally, the better you get at relationships, the better everything in your world becomes, right? So it starts with home, it starts with parents, it starts with family, it starts with kids, it starts with wife, it starts with, it starts with your core, your people, right? And then you got to get really good at building a relationship with them and being engaged. It's kind of funny. I've jokingly said this way more than once, but it's true. I said to my wife, I said, if you came to the door and greeted me like the dogs did, we'd have a better relationship.
It would last. Maybe it's a key to relationships.
Start wagging your tail and licking me when I walk in the door. Hell, maybe that's a little too far, right? But you understand, Chris, no, dude, I'm in on that. That's totally the way I want it. Right?
Yeah, peanut butter, and you're good.
Yes.
Hey, come on. You were off. Everybody was thinking.
I knew it was coming at some point.
Yeah. So, leave it to Chris.
Yeah, just watch out for a drink or two and a cigar out at one of the events.
Man, I thought my brain fog moment was bad, Chris. You took it to another level.
Your face looks like it's going to explode. But you think about it like this: it's like just simple things like engaging people with a level of honesty and like actually giving shit. It's like, Chris, how did we meet? You guys are over sitting outside of one of the events, smoking some cigars. I just roll up, like, hey guys, how you guys doing? It's like it's the genuinely meeting people and being excited to see people completely changes every single interaction. So like, think about when you see somebody and you greet somebody and you bump into somebody, you get excited to see them. And then the feel that they get, it completely changes the dynamic of the next 20, 30, 40 minutes. Like family comes into the house, big smile, big hug. Hello, how you doing? It completely changes the way somebody feels when they walk into your house, right? There's a sense of welcome, a sense of belonging. It's like that in almost every single interaction. So if you think about it, it's like, I don't want you to bump it up to like 20, 30% of what you're doing, because then it just feels weird and it feels inauthentic. But if you think about like in a normal environment, like here's me dancing on the dance floor. What you guys don't realize is that in my head, I feel like I'm really moving.
Yeah.
To everybody else, they're like, that day's not moving at all, right? So when we're talking to people, if you just bump up that 5 or 10%, or just for example, when you're doing this stuff, right? Just bump up that little 5 or 10%, and it comes across as if you're passionate and engaged. Like people are attracted to enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. You could say the dumbest shit in the world, and if you say it enthusiastically, people are going to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, we watch that with influencers all the time. They say the dumbest shit in the world, and people are paying attention because they're saying it with enthusiasm. They're saying it in a unique way. And when we're looking at building business is about building connection, right? And all of those weird things I've done along the way, it's taught me little parts and little pieces and little parts and little pieces. And now I look back and I go, like, half the reason I am where I am is because of my level of enthusiasm. You know, I do just genuinely love what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think with that enthusiasm, though, I think what the key is about that is that you and yourself, like you said, when you're doing this little dance in your mind, you think you're dancing well. And that's all that really matters, right? We're told that when we're training and coaching and teaching, it's not about deciding on whether the people that are listening are actually like getting it. It's whether they believe that you get it, right? That you believe it. Yeah. And that's the key. Like you with your vigor and your intensity and you believe in your heart of hearts, I'm looking like a total ass, but I don't care. And I'm dancing. This is my little world, right? Like sing in the shower as loud as you can, like nobody's listening. Yeah. And that's the key. I think with that comes with that in territory of people. Like I kind of have that same thing. Like I have this crazy vibe that people love the energy I bring because yes, I say things that are probably obnoxious and potentially too far and whatever, but people know that, right? People know that about me and it's not like it's a surprise anymore, but it's authentic to the point where like, you know what though, when I hang out with Chris, I get the real shit. Yeah. Like I get they like that energy.
Yeah. Well, and there's a level of, yeah, I mean, there's a level of so what is the word of the year this year? Like, I didn't even know they did this until somebody asked me to contribute to an article on it recently. And the word of the year is authentic. Right. Mm-hmm. So the thing about authentic is being the unique you that you are and being okay with that in certain parts of the flavor. And listen, Chris, like you could pull it off. You could pull off being you, which is great. Ross wouldn't do as good on that. Right. And he's just a different type of human being. Right. But for you, Chris, like within the first 2-3 minutes, I'm like, that's just Chris. Yeah. I was sitting there going, whoa, Tiger, holy crap. Did he just say that? And then like within a minute or two, I'm like, no, this is just you being you. This isn't you. This isn't you on drugs. This isn't you drunk. This is just you communicating in the way, in the unique style that you communicate. And for some people, it's too much. And for the people that get that, that's the spirit of who you are. Like, it's hard. You can't take anything malicious or nothing comes malicious out of you. Like you could literally say anything to me and I'd be like, that's the ugliest white guy I've ever seen in my life. You did say, I think, at some point.
I do shit like that once in a while.
And you are the ugliest bald guy I've ever seen. And I just look at it and start laughing, right? So, but it's the right person at the right time, at the right place, saying the right thing, being authentically them. And somehow you got to cut through the noise because everybody's so focused on being vanilla. and being that just like, okay, I'm going to be vanilla and I'll add a couple sprinkles to the side. It's like, no, man, you can be Rocky Road with chunks. Or you can be vanilla and Rocky Road and strawberry, and you can have 17 scoops in that pile. Why not, right? And there's different parts, and and I play different parts too. Like Chris, you say the after hour goofing off, let your hair down is very different than the stage presence and being, you got to be a professional and executive and so forth. And I represent a company. So I have to make sure that, for me, I go, if Glenn saw me say that, would he giggle or would he shake his head? Right. And funny enough, he's actually got a really, really good, unique sense of humor. So most of the time I'm like, oh yeah, he'd chuckle. He might say, don't ever do that again, but he'll chuckle.
Got to ride that line, man. Got to ride that line. Yeah.
But being authentically you makes all the difference in the world. And like Chris and Ross right now in this market, in this industry, in this world, the biggest challenge we've got is like, okay, normal year, 5.5 to 6 million sales a year. Last year, we closed out 4.5 million, I believe, by the end of the year. It was tracking for right around 4.5 million, which means there's 1 million to 1.5 million less paychecks out in the market, right? Yeah. So that's just less business for everybody across the board. And then you've got things coming into that, like AI is going to take over the world. AI is not going to take over the world, but is going to be a component that gives certain people an edge and gives certain people a disadvantage, right? So with that being said, when you look at, there's big talk, there's always a threat to our industry, right? There's big talk about Zillow's coming in, Zillow's going to take over the world. And I built out this little thing real quick, and it went something like this. Like, there's one thing Zillow can't do. There's one thing Chris can't do. There's one thing Ross can't do. There's one thing that open door, back door, front door, left door, right door, doggy door can't do. They can't be me, right? They cannot take over that relationship, right? Think about, like, social media is great, but social media is not the relationship. It's the enhancement to the relationship. Social media is not the relationship. And a lot of people, we are more connected now than ever in the history's past, more connected now than ever in past history, right? And people are feeling more lonely than ever because we're substituting the real relationship, the real connection, the real contact, the real touch, the real feel, the real flavor, that real vibration, energy that we exchange when we meet up and talk face to face, and we talk to each other on the phone, and we do this kind of stuff. If we substitute that with just like, oh yeah, dude, I've seen you over Facebook in the last 8 minutes, like, that's great. It's like watching a TV show. Like, what do you get out of that, right? Versus sitting down and playing a game of cards. Completely different game, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to start saying the answer and the solution to almost all real estate agents' issues right now is to deepen and broaden and enhance relationships, and not by throwing more shit at them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's where that authentic thing comes into play, though. Again, those are kind of parallel, right? They're very segue into each other.
Yes.
Authentic is, when I heard too, the authenticity is the highest frequency in the world. It's not love.
Yeah.
It's authenticity. So when you combine that with relationships, which if we can go back now and talk about why in the market in 2023 it was challenging, right? A lot of realtors funneled out of the business, but yet the ones that stayed and thrived did really well. And the ones that thrived and did really well, though, one of the main things I would say it could contribute to all of them together was the fact that most of those may have been in the business for a while.
Yeah.
Even if they were in a short time business, they made some major substantial relationships that were solid as a rock. And that's what helped them spur their business and to be successful. So it was about relationships. Always been about relationships. Real estate's always been about relationships. And so they just actually heightened it and super extended on their ability to create better relationships with somebody else. And so, right. I like that. Mesh is consistency.
Yeah. So the first step right out of the gate is always to get really, really clear on what the message is. Mm-hmm. So get really clear on what the message is. So here's the thing. People are like, well, the message is this. I'm like, how do you know? And they're like, because how do you get the clear? Ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them what the message, what message you need to hear right now to make you feel better about life or whatever it is. It's like, you gotta get with people and figure out what that message is. Like when you start having conversation with people and you make it about them, it completely changes the playing field, right? So I was listening to somebody turned me on to Ed Milet, and I know you guys would be like, "Come on, Russ, you didn't know Ed Milet." Ed Milet spoke on stage at one of our events, right? But what most of you guys don't realize is that I'm almost never in that room. Okay, I'm almost never in the big room. I'm never in a small. I get to see almost nothing of the show when we're at EXP or EXPCon or the big company events. And when we do the big company events, I've got people toe to toe, face to face, like, Russ, you're going to be there. I want to sit with you for an hour. I've got this group, I've got this thing. So we're sitting talking with brokerages, talking with individual agents. There's these people there that are not with us, that want to be with us or want to have a conversation about being with us. And we are toe to toe, face to face in back rooms, just one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. And if I happen to poke my head out of one of the walls and I stand there for 5 seconds, take a breath of air, Ross comes up. He's like, "Hey, dude, how you doing, man? I've seen." And I'm like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I start wagging my tail and start licking stuff, you know. And then next thing you know, 45 minutes goes by. So like, but my role there is to make people feel loved, seen, appreciated, heard, right? And the one thing that is obvious is when we're rolling around and I'm asking them questions: how are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working for you? What do you like doing? What do you not like in doing? What are you seeing coming? What do you think the next year's going to look like? There becomes a really clear message, but you got to pay attention to what they're telling you the message is. It's not the message I want them to hear. It's a message that they need to hear. That completely changes the game. So I'm listening to somebody's like, "Hey, you got to listen to this thing from Ed Milet." And I'm like, you know what? I know he's amazing. The reviews from him were amazing when he was live for us. So I listened to the show, and he's got some really short stuff, which is awesome. He's got some longer stuff, which is awesome. And he's talking to this lady about branding. And she was talking about that, getting clear on the message and asking them questions. And you go into people will say to me all the time when they meet my wife, she's kind of like a Bigfoot sighting because she doesn't get out a whole lot in the real world. She has a muscle disease, so she doesn't get to do normal stuff and hang.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, Ross is laughing over there. Geez, man.
No, I thought you were making a joke about something. All right, because you said Bigfoot. Come on, man.
Russ is always making a joke about something.
Dude, I know, Russ.
I know. I said jump. I feel really. No, I don't. I don't feel bad.
That one.
So no, I've had buddies of mine that had for 6, 7, 8 years, and they're like, "I've never met your wife," right? And that's because she doesn't go out and do the normal stuff and can't just go out to dinner, and she's not gonna go out and party and goof off and watch hockey games and stuff. So I've got that group of people I do that stuff with, and then there's other stuff we do. So with that being said, when people do meet her, they're like, "Your wife is the most amazing person in the world." And what I'd love to say to them, which I never do because I don't want to call them out like this, would be, tell me 1 or 2 things you learned about her that makes her so amazing. They don't know anything. They have no clue who she is. They have no idea what she does. They know nothing about her. But what she does, she asks them a bunch of questions, and she's genuinely interested. She's genuinely interested. She's an amazing listener. She asks great questions and amazing listener. And she makes it all about them. At the end of the conversation, they don't know anything about my wife. She knows everything about them. She can tell you what color socks they're wearing, if their toenails painted. Like, she knows everything about them, the dogs and neighbors, the childhood history, all that stuff. And they think she's amazing because she found them interesting and made them feel interesting, right? Yeah. And it's interesting because you could say, okay, what are some of the most important things to them? She can tell you, boom, 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 right? So it's getting engaged in that conversation. And this was one of the things about building their brand is get interested in other people and then find out what they need to hear and then make clear messages around that, right? And then the key is consistency after that. Consistency over and over and over and over. I used to say this when we were running a brokerage. They're like, how do you get the message across? So when I'm training and teaching brokerages how to build a brokerage, I've done that a number of times in my career, right? Or teams, right? I'm like, how do you get this message across to your team? So number one, you got to get really clear on the message. And it's got to be the message they need to hear. Otherwise, the message is going to miss them every single time. It's going to miss them a million times. You can tell them the same crap that doesn't apply to them a million times, never going to apply, right? So you got to get really clear on what the message is. And the message has got to be about them. Okay. Secondly, consistency. You got to tell them so many times the same thing over so many times until everybody in the room's like, yeah, Russ, we got it. Then you say it 5 more times because half the people still missed it.
No, yeah.
So you think, well, I'm being repetitive. You can vary the tone and the flavor of the message, but if the message is chocolate ice cream's the best, right? I can vary 50 different ways of doing that. It could be me laying in a tub eating chocolate ice cream. It could be me laying on a beach eating chocolate ice cream. Subliminally, I'm programming you to say chocolate ice cream's the best. All the other ice cream is inferior. But I've got to do that consistently, and I can vary the message. I can vary the delivery of the message. The message is the same, but the delivery of that message is different. And I can do that consistently. And guys, we can do this around in the real estate business. We can do this around market updates. Market updates. It's the only thing people ever ask about.
So true, actually. And we often sometimes walk away from that message because we almost feel like we're saying it over and over and over again. Really. I mean, I had a talk with an agent the other day, and they're like, yeah, I'm starting to go more to the lifestyle content because I'm sick of just coming out with a market update. But that makes so much sense. That's actually way more value than I was anticipating after you just drop that on me, because if you become more clear with your message, you can take a market update and position it 10 different ways.
Yeah.
Because that is the common question.
Yes.
Every family gathering, every friend's, that every time I meet up with my friends, it's, Russ, how's the market? How's the market? How's the market? Yeah, that's
so like, if I've stood on stage in how many places, like, dude, guys, I flew 87,000 miles last year just for the company. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when I stand on stage, I ask this question all the time because I want to make sure I'm clear. Like, what are people asking you about? When you meet somebody, you're like, I'm a realtor. What are they asking you?
How's the market?
Yep. Once in a blue moon, somebody will be like, how's mortgage rates? I'm like, you're not a mortgage person. Like, I'm not saying you can't do that, but that's part of market, right? Because there's various components about the market, right? So you are Ross the realtor, talking about various things. So that's number one, right? So there's a bunch of other things that you can do. So Ross, I think we did discuss this briefly, and this is something I've been teaching a ton, is building out a contractor list, right? So
yeah.
Other thing that happens in houses, right? So let me kind of throw you guys a curveball here. The market, the average American's moving every 10 years right now. Used to be 6. Okay, it's slowed down, which is part of the problem that we're sitting in a classic real estate stall right now. You've got low supply, you've got high demand, but no supply, which creates a stall. Now you've got people that want to move, they can't find something to buy, so they don't move because they can't find something to buy, which creates more stall. So as long as the inventory stays low, barring something catastrophic, crazy happening, guys, we're going to be in this for a while. Because there's nothing that's like, what could change? What needs to change right now for this number one, for people to be freed up to be able to move, and number two, for house inventory to go through the roof? You have to have some kind of massive crash, right? Yeah. You can't have a market crash of real estate at 2 months supply of homes. If the inventory doubles, it goes up to 4. Oh, the horror, right? You need to be at 6 or so, plus or minus, to be a good balanced market. So in most markets, many markets, aside from a couple of small pockets like Washington State, New York's got a couple of hits here and there, and then some places in California, almost everybody else in the nation is sub 2 months supply of homes. Right? So what that means is that inventory could go up. So now here's the rub. Okay. How many new households are being created every year? Do you guys know that?
I have no idea, actually.
It's a good question.
2.1 million the last year. New households created, right around 2 the year before that, and 1.9 the year before that. Okay. So around
how are they defining it? What's a household?
New household. It's somebody saying, I'm going to have my own thing going now, instead of living under mom and dad's roof and so forth. I mean,
gotcha. All right.
And we've got, immigration, plus we've got, younger people trying to get separate and start their own household, separate space to live and so forth. Okay. So 2 million new households being created in the last year. How many, so you've only got so many houses, right? Existing homes. So how do you increase the amount of existing homes? You have to have new construction, right? You have to build. Okay. So how many homes were built last year?
Not enough.
You better more than 2 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the rub, guys. So it was 2 million 2.1 million households created last year. 800,000 homes were built last year.
Wow.
800,000 homes were built last year. So there's 1.3 million more shortage this year than last year. So is this problem going to get better or worse?
Yeah. Which is compounding in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And people go, oh God, Russ, this is a nice rosy story you're telling. It's like, well, part of creating a solution is understanding what the problem is. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if I know this is going to continue for a while, the average American is now sitting 10 years versus 6. That's the average move time for an American right now. So if that's the case, then doing a market update, that person needs you once every 10 years. So Ross, you're right. They don't want to hear your shit for 10 years. Like, oh,
literally.
Market update for the great. Like, you're lucky to live that long in the business, right? So here's the thing. So how do you stay relevant? How do you stay in front of people? For the people that own houses, and I want to focus on getting listings, by the way, still, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. We won't go into that. But so there's people that own houses. Ross, do you own a house?
I do.
Does stuff break on your house ever?
All the time.
Okay. Would you say 4 times a year, 5 times a year, 6 times a year?
That's fair. 4 times.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 times a year, something breaks on your house. So if you look at this over the next 10 years, you have 40 times more potential for them to need you by managing a good contractor list than you do having a real estate market update.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I increase people's need or potential need for me by 40 times? I just manage a contractor list. Hey, I'm Russ, the real estate dude. By the way, we know stuff breaks on houses. So if something breaks on your house, let me know. By the way, here's a contractor just did a good job for us. So I can manage a contractor list, gives me something else to talk about. I still want to do the market update because I want them to see me as a real estate expert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Part of this clear messaging is I need to make sure they see me as a real estate expert. How do they see you as an expert? They see you saying experty stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it really just takes away from the realtor aspect of I'm just trying to sell you a house or show you about the market and really talk your language. Because once you're a homeowner, they are only really understanding, hey, you know, I might need an electrician. I might need a plumber. I might need this. In fact, after you left our office and you dug into that really deep with us, we spent the next 2 days creating a contractor list. And I think you had emailed me every type of different contractor there was. And for those that are listening that just think that a plumber and, you know, maybe an HVAC guy is all you have, Russ will blow your mind. I mean, there was like over 100 people. I mean, you had like an electrical, you know, sound, you know, electrician. You had like every different type of electrician that there would be. And excuse me, from the time that we created that list, I remember, you know, when we sent out an email and almost, I would say our click rate is normally like 20%. I'm like, okay, they clicked the thing, but like 50% of people clicked our contractor list. Mm-hmm. And still today, people call me and they're like, hey, Ross, we used, you know, J&H and L Electric from your vendor list and they were rock stars. And so now it was a reflection of me and, you know, who I am as a business owner, because now I'm able to show that, hey, I have great resources. So what you're saying is definitely true. And it really does amplify your business 1,000%. Not even to say that, hey, that electrician that you're now referring business to is probably going to go, wait, Russ or Chris, man, they keep sending me business. These guys seem like they're really good at real estate. I want to work with them, you know?
Every one of those contractors needs to be on my list, right? And then Ross, so here's an opportunity for you, okay? So like a huge part of our business, a huge part of our life is just spotting opportunities when they happen. You're like, there's a hole. You're like, should I dive through that or am I going to get my head cut off diving through that hole, right? Well, that hole goes to a guillotine. Depending on where it cuts you, it takes something off. You know, if it's a little off the top, fine. If it's a little off the middle, that's a problem, right? So you got a contractor. Somebody says one of your contractors did a good job. So here's next level, right? So let's do social better, because you don't want to be the person that's driving people nuts, right? I don't want to be the real estate channel all the time, which is why people see. I've got to go back to doing more real estate crap because I'm doing so many non-real estate crap. People are like, Russ is a knife maker and a bass guitar builder and charcuterie board builder.
I love your chessboards, by the way, man.
I know, like,
Those were awesome.
Those were awesome. But yeah, that's people start to pig you for that, though, right? At some point, because that's all you do.
Yeah, so you'll see like the video I posted the other day. It's like, hey, I'm Russ, a real estate dude, and check it out. This is what I was working on over the weekend, making this crazy Japanese-esque type chopper thing, right? So
I love the blue in the inside of it. That was nice, nice touch.
Thank you. Yeah. So when somebody says, hey, Ross, man, this contractor did a good job, great, that's an opportunity for you. So I'm going to take that contractor. I'm going to give him a call and say, hey, this is Ross and Third. Just want to touch base with you. Real estate dude. You were over at so-and-so's house. They pulled you off of my preferred contractor list. Could I do a quick social media post promoting your business since you did a good job? And he'll be like, hell yeah, right? It's like we can either do a quick jump on Zoom, or I could do an Instagram side by side, or I can just, where are you going to be at? I could just drive by and have you and me outside his truck. And then I jump on with my cell phone. I was like, hey, I'm Russ Laggan, a real estate dude. And here's the contractor, just did a great job. My customers actually use this guy. He did a really great job. He showed up on time. He was nice. He communicated well, and he was a fair price. And of course, they told me he did a great job. So I wanted to let you guys know, if you need a heating and cooling guy, this guy's your guy. That's the guy to call if you need a good job done by you. I'm Ross, and real estate dude. Check out that guy if you want to do business. Okay. So now I'm promoting somebody else's business. So it's not look at me, look at me, look at me. Even my market update isn't look at me, I'm amazing. It's like, guys, if you're thinking about doing something, you need to know what's going on in your house.
Yeah.
If you stock those $500,000, you check the price of it once in a while, wouldn't you? That's why I do this. Okay. So at least you know what's going on. If you want more specifics, let me know. This is about me making sure you know what's going on. This is about me making sure you know I'm a resource to help you fix your problems. This also helps me stand out having that contractor list. So when I'm listing, I'm like, hey, after we list this house, guess what? Something's going to break. Don't worry about it. I got a preferred contractor list. We'll handle it, right? By the way, when they do the inspection, they're going to find a list of shit wrong with your house. Because if you're like me, there's those stupid little things that I should have taken care of. My wife's been nagging at me forever, and it's on my honey-do list, and I keep throwing the honey-do list away. Somehow it accidentally ends up in the garbage, in the fire pit. I don't know where it goes, but it goes somewhere, right? So all of those little things are going to pop up on that list. And the cool part is I got a handyman. He can come in and fix most of that crap for like $400. Half a day, $400. He can fix a bunch of nickel and dime crap. So instead of taking $5,000 off your house, $500 will fix 90% of that stuff on that $5,000 list. And they're like, dude, thank you. Right. And then I get the buyer's agent on the other side of the deal because I like to do some attraction here and there. The buyer's agent on the other side of the deal, I'm like, hey, by the way, when you guys do the inspection, if you find something wrong with the house, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I got a preferred contractor list. They'll take great care of your stuff. If you need somebody, that window balancer, the GFI that's popped, that doesn't work. They break every 10 years, by the way. They're supposed to. They wear out. They do wear out. And then you got the double tap in the panel, and you got the caulk that needs to be done around the thing, and that one window needs to be caulked on the outside. And then the one gutter's loose. This guy will pop in, and for $500, he'll clean all that up. So that'll strengthen your negotiating position if we don't have to negotiate that stuff. And the buyer's agent's like, dude, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And let me know. If you need another contractor, let me know. Now you got realtors reaching out to me for contractors. Oh, yeah. And by the way, they know.
So true.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. By the way,
I love how, oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, I would say, by the way, it's a great segue into opportunity to build a relationship for the people that are in that ultimately rolls right into the revenue share piece of this business, right? So it's a two-win.
Well, so the typical real estate agent's like, here's the equation for a typical real estate agent. House equals money, house equals money, house equals money, house equals money, right? But then you got to keep in mind, people in the scenario we built, which is why this was so revolutionary, is people equals money is also a secondary equation. It's another bucket of income because you're dealing with people that are in the real estate business. And if you become a resource for them, you become their resource for market info. Guys, I had 543 people that were real estate agents on my market list in Tampa. That was that was a real estate agent. So I was like, hey, man, I do a market update every month, tells you what's going on in the market. You want me to send it to you? And they're like, yeah, heck yeah. Right. I had 543 of those over there. Right. So when you start doing things that are valuable to other real estate agents, in the process of doing this, you can be of value to them. In the process of doing this, you can be of value to them here. In the process of doing this, you can promote other people and other people's business. I'll promote another agent. Hey, I'm Russ, a real estate dude. I just did a deal with Ross in the third with eXp Realty. That guy's a straight up baller. If you guys know him and you're part of his sphere, use him. That guy's really good at what he does. I'm Russ, a real estate dude. Ross is a baller. Do business with him. I'll promote other real estate agents. And they're like, what the hell would you do that for? Their people, if they have a good relationship, are going to do business with them. Their people, if they don't have a good relationship with them, they're going to do business with me because I'm a nice guy. I just promoted somebody that sucks.
Right.
Loosely.
Well, and I love how you tied, having your clear message and all of that, right? I mean, when you're saying to getting to know others and having a clear message, you then took it to, well, when the contractor came out and did a great job, now you're going to his message his business, promoting that clear message on behalf of him now. And so you're just compounding in so many different ways of making people feel valued and important while also giving them value.
And this all goes back to that relationship thing. And if you make people feel important, make them feel important, you promote other people's business. Like on social, it's like, I don't have to be Russ, the real estate dude, talking real estate all the time. I'm Russ, the real estate dude, forging knives. I'm Russ, the real estate dude, building bass guitars. I'm Russ, the real estate dude, making charcuterie boards for Christmas presents. So there's a bunch of other things that we do. I can be Russ, the realtor that races triathlons, which I had been in the past. I was Russ, the real estate guy that raced road bikes. I was Russ, the real estate guy that ran races and got my ass kicked because I suck at running. I'm a maniac in the pool, but doing video in the pool sucks. Okay, so you got to find your ways to do it, but like you can be that person doing other amazing things, and those people that do that thing start to see you as their guy, right?
Yeah. So you're relatable at that point.
Yeah, because it's not just me trying to get something from you; it's me trying to give back all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you shift everything you do from what can I get out of this? This is what we get taught. What's market like? You got to have a goal. You got to have the ask. You got to ask for the business. I'm not saying don't ask for the business. I'm simply saying that if you do a good job and you add credibility and you add stuff for them and do stuff for them and show them cool stuff, they'll come to you.
1,000%.
Yep. All of these guys on YouTube that are building out these YouTube channels are doing a great job. I wish I was better technology wise because I've got like 340 something videos on YouTube, like 130 of them visible. If I could just pay somebody to puppet master that thing into something, but these guys are all like, what do people want to know, right? Clear messages. Like people don't Google Levi Lassick realtor in Dallas. They Google where's the coolest place to take my dog in Dallas, and Levi happens to have video on every dog park in Dallas, right? So the clear message is like, if you got a dog, you got a dog park. Here's 10 dog parks you got to take your dog to. Scooby loves this place, and you like to see a little butt running across the ground. And everybody's like, I love little dog butts, and that message is clear. You're dog friendly, right? They're people friendly. And you're doing that consistently. All of this stuff blends in with that. So from a social perspective, it's you doing stuff. If you like food, be the foodie, right? Every week I check out, hey, I'm Russ the Realtor. Every week I check out a new family-owned mom and pop restaurant around town. Guess what? Today I'm checking out Mel's Diner, right? And you do a quick review of Mel's Diner. And then I drop Mel into the thing. It's like, hey, by the way, if you're looking for a cool diner, Mel's ranks one of the top. If you're looking for sliders, there's a little place called Bates Burgers down the street. I got a little Bates hat. Funny, my buddy's named Sean Bates. He lives in Tampa. I bought a Bates Burgers hat and I sent it to him.
Love that. Yeah, that's value, because that's the most important word in his vocabulary is his name. And now, boom, he attaches that to Russ. Russ gave this to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bates Motel sold hats, I'd get them one of those too. But they don't.
Bates Motel, but people are old enough to understand.
Hats, yeah, I don't have hats, but they had T-shirts, man. I'd go for it. But anyways.
That's great, man.
It's like thinking about how do you add value to the world, not trying to get like the whole part of sales is like the part where it gets yucky is when it's like everything I'm doing is to get sales.
Yeah.
You got to shift it to everything I'm doing is to add value. And all of the things that I do to add value will get me sales. Add value first, the sales come. Go for the sales first. The sales are really, really hard and you end up pissing and alienating everybody off. Right?
So true.
You consistently try to get stuff from people, they'll stop showing up. Even your mom's going to stop picking up the phone if you call her like, do you know anybody thinking about buying or selling real estate in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah. Yes, just doesn't work.
Ross, I can't wait for you to show up for Christmas. I'm going to punch you in the face. Your mom saying that.
Glenn, Glenn's message yesterday in the 2024 vision update was pretty much that, right? And his message was about adding value, like the quickest way. He quoted Jim Rohn on stuff. So I think essentially that's what it's all about. It really is. The relationships are huge. Having a clear message, a consistent clear message, knowing your audience, giving back value. I mean, those are four great nuggets that really, it's a great foundation to build your business, right? Not just the superficial, like you said, here's your market update, here's interest rates, here's the economy, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of bland. But if you get more specific and in the weeds with a clear message, then people see you as more authentic and that you really do care, right? Because that's the key. Make people believe you really do care and give a shit about them ultimately, and not just trying to sell them a set of knives. So here we are. I think kicking off the first of the year, this was ideal. So it was perfect. It's short and like kind of condensed, honestly. It's not like you're doing trigonometry here. That board behind you is really basic, easy math. You got 3 or 4 steps there that people just plug into those 3 or 4 steps. Man, your business could actually thrive great right now. And
1,000%.
Get kicked off. You agree? So here we are again, January 3rd, right? It's January 3rd. I think we're at 3 days into this year. And we already got a great message here from Russ Laggan on how to get yourself rocking off on the right foot, really. And it's not even like you just made new bread here. This is like kind of recycled bread. And I'm not even saying that in a negative way, Russ. I'm just saying like, you just kind of reiterated what the basics are.
Guys,
right?
I weeded through the whole grocery store and pulled 3 things that'll help you survive in any sales business. By the way, this works not sales businesses too. It's relationship businesses. If you're not even in real estate, this same stuff works, guys. And it's have you ever seen a plan so complicated it's got to work?
Yeah.
Nope. Right? Simple. So this is distilled down to the highest octane. This is the highest proof you can get. That's not Fireball. That's what do they call it?
Not Fireball.
And it's easy and applicable, and you could literally do it today. You know what I mean? It's a great approach to business. Yeah. I mean, I've implemented it in my business and I've seen great returns. So
love that.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Russ. Again, first show of the year. I'm excited to have you. What a great way to start the year off with you, Russ. Again, because you kind of broke it down to keep it real simple, to get everybody back, get your mindset right, and just refocus on some of the simple things in life, right? We're trying to make this more difficult than it is, everybody. Yeah. It's really that simple. And so for those that are really struggling right now, stop trying to overthink it too, because I think that's the quickest way for us to really kind of justify the reality of why we don't want to get up and go do our job. We make it more complicated than what it is, right? And so essentially here we are. Russ, you're an amazing guy. If you guys have met Russ, again, EXP now with us, we're grateful to have you. You've had an amazing journey upwards to this point and an amazing resume on top of that to boot. So you're a wealth of knowledge. Definitely plug into Russ. And if you're part of EXP and you listen to this, dude, connect with Russ. He's on Workplace. He's on Facebook. Message the guy. He'll respond.
Literally. Yeah. And you can meet him on an airplane. And then next thing you know it, he's in your office doing a full-blown training with your team.
100%.
And I mean, you really do show up. And I appreciate that about you, Russ. You know, you got a great spirit, man, and you follow through on it. So thank you, man.
I love it. And I look forward to seeing you at the next event, hopefully in a pool with another suit on and a vest. And again, I hope this vest and stuff was appropriate for me today.
It's a swimwear. So, I love that, brother. Thanks for wearing the vest, guys.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome.
I'll see you next time. Every day, have a great week and kick off to your first of the year, my friends. Talk to you guys soon. Love you both.
See ya.